Hello there.
Hey guys, this is Tim of Two Dudes Gaming with my buddy Carl here, and today we are talking about Last Epoch's new seasons, the characters we made, our thoughts on it. We'll also be talking about POE2, the state of POE2 and patch 0.2, and we'll also be talking about some games we are excited about today, and games that will be coming up in the near future. So with that being said, Carl, how are you feeling about Last Epoch? How are you feeling about the new season? And what does that character progression for you kind of look like?
Last Epoch to me has been a ton of fun. I've been playing it probably 50 hours or so in the last week and a half, which for me, to put that in reference or in frame, that over doubled the amount of hours that I had in the 1.0 release. Actually, the background gameplay that you guys are going to see now is actually, I'm playing as we're recording. I really just haven't been able to put the game down. About to hit my Sentinel character up to level 92, so that should give a little bit of context to what this has felt like for me so far. I've been loving it. How about yourself? How have you been progressing?
I mean, good with the time we have in our busy lives, right? Like for me, I'm around a level 76 now as a Sentinel, and I'm going more so for the Judgment Paladin, right? Where I'm just one-shotting everything. The one punch man build is what I'm going for at the end of the day, and I know you're doing the Ring of Fire build, correct? For the most part.
Everybody's listening to this will actually get a little bit of inside look, because I haven't had a chance to put the build guide together yet. But yeah, like I said in my first reaction video, I stumbled across this. I totally forgot this existed, and I couldn't not play the Righteous Fire version in this game. And it's been it has been so much fun. I know the like non-aura playstyle does a lot more damage. But there's just something so satisfying about punching the ground and then just running through the map and burning everything that comes into contact with you. I don't know. There's just something very relaxing about it, very rewarding. So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's not necessarily a one-click or one-handed play style, right? I mean, you can get pretty darn close to it, I think. Again, and our builds are not all too different. Like just watching you play, right? Again, you're still punching the ground, but you're not using the punches. Your main attack for the most part. Again, for me, I do a massive hit, and I just keep running from pack to pack and hitting as hard as possible.
So yeah, I mean, my punch is my main attack. So like if I just kind of walk into stuff, it's the little aura that you can see kind of around my character that like I don't have to touch anything. They'll just die.
Yep.
And what you see the attacks is, so the build that I have set up right now, as I just stand here, if I just hold down my right click, you can actually see down here I'm stacking Ignite on myself. And that's coming from my belt, and a whole bunch of these items are like playing off of each other and like actually degenning me and putting like negative things on me. But as they put negative things on me, it's boosting my damage, and it's just really cool mechanically to be able to take advantage of a super tanky build and turn that DPS, or I should say lack of DPS, into DPS by converting like survivability into damage. It's actually one of my favorite things about games like this, is being able to do weird and wonky stuff like that. Right, where you get like really weird combinations that don't really make sense, and then they just do. But yeah, that's kind of the crux of the whole thing, is just smash ground go burn, everything around me go burn. Oh, that was a lot of...
In layman's terms,
Yeah,
is what you're saying there.
much.
And again, to answer your question as well as like how I've been enjoying the season, it's been interesting, right? Again, I'm not an ARPG player. Like I'm a shooter. Like that's what I've always enjoyed. But for me, again, to branch out and enjoy these games and find enjoyment in them is kind of a welcome surprise. Again, for me, it's, as you kind of were mentioning, like all the wonky builds you can make. It's the creativity aspect of it, I think, is something that is very tantalizing to anybody and can be very enjoyable for anybody if given the chance, right? Now, as you kind of mentioned on the season, dude, there is just so much this time around versus last time. I remember getting to monoliths. That's really all they had. If I remember correct, like you do monoliths, and that's about it.
That was literally all there was to do.
Yeah, and whereas here it's monoliths, it's the Weaver's Web, it's the Aberoth bosses, it's the Harbingers. There's so many different, and there's obviously the dungeons and all the ways you can kind of continue to grow your character and strength. And continue to push corruption at the end of the day, and is getting to that point of trying to beat Uber Aberoth and being one of those like 1 or 2% of players that does it, right? Like that's like, for me personally, like my ultimate goal if I get to it. Again, I'm trying to refuse my ADHD in creating a new character, and by just pushing one character all the way there, that'll give me the best chance to get there, because that's my goal for this season.
I think I shared with you the link or the screen from the dev, and it was like at the end of the first week, Uber Aberoth had been killed 400 times. I think that was it. Yeah,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
dude, it's been like they really like went out to make a super hard fight, and it seems like they might have just succeeded, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you did or not, but I mean, if when you think about it, because we've have what, 150 concurrent players, or 150,000 like concurrent players typically daily, at least for this first week. I don't know where it's at now, but when you're saying it's only been 400 times, that is, gosh, percentage wise, it's less than 1%. Easily, I think that's 0.033%, somewhere along those lines. So it's insane that they did that, and it's good to have I think, end game like that, because again, a lot of players are going to continue to play to get to that point as well. Players like me, for example, again, I can see that challenge and be like, man, I want to beat that final challenge. Like, that's something that's interesting to me.
I think we talked about it last time. I am really a fan of having aspirational content that you do not expect the majority of your player base to kill or beat. I
Of course,
think that's
of
really
course.
cool. Now everything shouldn't be made that way, but I can see that being a very fun mechanic. I don't know what's happening.
Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, again, it can be fun, and then you again can get borderline grindy. Is kind of the drawback sometimes of the
Yes.
worry, right? Like I think it's for example in Tarkov, I think it's the Gamma case. I forget off
Uh,
the top of my head, but it's the
Kappa.
last. Hmm? It's the Kappa, thank you. Because at the end of the day, there's so much
Yeah.
you have to do to get to that quest. I've never done it myself before, but I know it's never been worth it at the end of the day. And Tarkov is hard enough on its own, but that is one of the hardest achievements to do. And again, it sounds like, again, they have this. Again, maybe it could be grindy depending on the player or the person. Maybe for me, it may feel grindy. For you, it won't, because this is, again, you're meat and potatoes in regards to games, for lack of better metaphor, but like, you enjoy this stuff, right? For me, I want to get there. Now, again, whether it starts to feel grindy for me is the question, right? As I've said, and what we'll talk about later, is like, I get a lot of fulfillment, and we talked about this earlier. I get a lot of fulfillment out of that PvP type of again, play style, and just taking somebody's lunch money and going off with it, right? But again, but regardless, again, even as someone who likes FPS first, right? And that's my bread and butter. I literally played Halo this past weekend for a LAN party, for goodness sake, in 2025. Like, again, it's weird world we live in. It was a ton of fun, but again, for me to be coming from that background and to play an ARPG and actually enjoy it, I think, at least for me, says a lot about Last Epoch and how enjoyable it's been. And the fact that we're still playing it like 2 or 3 weeks later after launch, we haven't really desired or wanted to touch POE2, just in contrast, I think says a lot about this new season and how passionate the devs are about the game, and just, again, all the amazing changes they have made. um, I was having this thought as well, as they are able to be creative and add cool mechanics into the game without making the mechanics like harder or more frustrating to deal with, right? Like, um, on death effects in PoE2 and how frustrating that can be. They can make the game harder, but they do it in fun and interactive ways, I feel, in Last
Yeah,
Epoch.
and just to speak to that, too, when you're saying about the joy that you've been having for it, I think I said it to you on Monday. We were talking, and I said to you that it's really funny because I'm not even done playing this league yet, or this what do they call it, cycle yet. But I'm legitimately already
Mhm.
excited for the next cycle that they're going to pump out, to see what they do to build off of this going forward, because it's literally been so much fun. So just
Mhm.
to iterate that, yeah, it's been just such a good time to just run around and just blast maps and stuff.
And again, as you kind of mentioned, at least the creativity aspect of where, like, again, you have so many different builds, and there's so many ways to kind of get to where you want with a build ultimately. And again, Last Epoch does a great job in being creative with the crafting, as we kind of mentioned even in last podcast, how good the crafting system is, and just opens up so many options. Where again, you could technically brick an item depending on what you do with crafting, but they allow options where even if you were to brick it, again, you can actually kind of unbrick it at the end
Yeah,
of the day.
it's pretty cool. And the more that we've been playing, the more I've been able to dive into some of these systems. There'll be a video out either today
Right.
or tomorrow, depending on when this video goes live. Kind of, just a couple of quick tips and tricks on like what I've been learning so far about how to make some character progression. And the first couple of days or so, I remember sitting there and be like, how are the streamers, done with the game already? How are these people already at level 100? Like, how are they making these
Right.
builds? And then, I stopped. It took, I don't know, 20 minutes and like looked at what tools I actually had available to me. And I was like, oh, that's how they're doing this. Like, there are so many amazing tools that this game puts in to let you play the way that you want to. And don't get me wrong, there's some stuff that I want them to do a little bit better. I think the game could use a little bit more difficulty. Like, this is kind of, still just a breeze. But
Right.
I don't know, man. Like, it's really hard to argue with the crafting and item progression system. And progression, that's actually, we were just talking about this before we went live. Like, progression being such a big deal to me in games that I play. As somebody who
Right.
doesn't necessarily love the PvP style stuff anymore. I'm old at this point, and
Progression is different in different games for
and
sure.
I just think they, like, for me, my playstyle, they nailed progression, item progression in this game. It is
Oh,
top
for
tier.
sure.
It is amazing.
Yeah, again, in regards to progression of this game, and you even mentioned difficulty, right? And it's like, okay, like, what are we putting the difficulty comparison or scale
Well,
to?
that's
Because in a way, it's not subjective, but we use other games, right? Like that is a hard question, because at the end of the day, we're not even scaling at 300 corruption yet. As I watch you, right, we're getting there. So I'm wondering, what does that look like? Do we wait till and like, again, is it around 300 corruption 400 where the game is really becoming more difficult, or is the difficulty there in line finding that better piece of gear to help progress your character? Again, in PvP, just to think about it, progression, for example, in Escape from Tarkov, is knowing where people spawn, and knowing where the
Yeah.
good items are, and knowing the time of knowing where freaking Sturman is on woods. Like, that is progression, right? It is his game knowledge at the end of the day. It's not necessarily your character just improving in stats. So of course it's different in that regard, and it's again, in that own sense, for me, some of those things are interesting, but it helps me again. Oh, this guy, at least in Tarkov, right? If we're talking progression, this dude has level 4, level 5 gear. He has U-locks. He has a kitted out M4, and I'm running around Mosin Manning, and I get the edge up on him because I know where he's going to be at. Now, mind you, if he's at that place, he probably knows where I am at too. So at that point, it's just me winning, and sometimes that can be a frustrating experience as well because I lose. But coming back to Last Epoch as well, the progression, as you kind of have mentioned, even for me, who is not a seasoned ARPG player, like yourself, as what I would say, um, again, progression has been super smooth. It's like, always I find an item that works out, again, because of lack of better comparison, but more so due to recency bias. Path of Exile 2, you're stuck with the item from Act 1 all the way to Act 3 or 4 sometimes. It's insane. It's like, why am I still using the two-handed hammer? Why am I still using this? It's because I haven't literally found anything better. Whereas in Last Epoch, that you're always picking up something that is better, or you are making it better. I was literally just in Soulfire Bastion, and I picked up 3 items that were not better than the current gear I had, and I literally made them better because I was able to curtail the crafting to what I needed and wanted, aka attunement on my gear, or strength, or fire damage, or damage over time. I was able to do that, and I hit some really good changes with the glyphs and everything, and using all of these little mechanics to craft the gear I wanted and needed for my specific character. Like, that is an awesome, really good feeling.
I think that's really, like, I know every game doesn't want to do it, but the fact that they built this game from the ground up with solo self-found in mind, and putting Circle of Fortune in the game versus Merchant's Guild, and like really giving the two of those distinct identities. As somebody who, like, me and you play some of these games together, or, occasionally I'll play with my wife a little bit, but as somebody who primarily plays these games solo, it's so nice to feel like you're not like just automatically handicapped because you don't want to engage with other people to play the game, but that it's still challenging because you
Hmm.
still have to understand mechanics, understand how to use things to your advantage and stuff like that. But to like really
Right.
feel like you can actually meaningfully progress your character with some form of control, I think you'll get to see what a little bit more in-depth crafting is like when I get you to play through POE1 with me. I'm not saying it's
Hmm.
better crafting. It's just more in depth, more knowledge
Right.
based, and seeing how to differentiate items and weapons and materials and all the other stuff progression system wise. Like you were saying, Tarkov, right? Like you get to build so much on your progression just by the knowledge you have of the game, and it can really start to
Hmm.
feel cool, feel good. But yeah, it's I don't
Right.
know. That's just like such a big positive for me the way that they focus this game around being able to play as a solo player.
Yeah, and again, it can't really. I think a lot of people have had an overall very positive experience with Last Epoch, but again, as well,
Yeah.
recency bias I think does play a little bit of a role here, especially with how negative POE2's 0.2 launch
Yeah.
was. Speaking of that, that is the next topic of conversation. Before we went into that, was there anything else you want to say about Last Epoch and the new season, Carl?
Just if any of you guys listening, if you haven't tried this season yet, highly recommended. It's a ton of fun. If you're into ARPGs, it's definitely something you should be giving a look to. Other than that, yeah, just
Mhm.
blasting.
Yeah, 100% agreed, and that's coming from somebody who likes FPS, right? And that's where I get a lot of joy and fun out of. Again, Last CPAC has been a ton of fun, just something to, even to relax and chill out
Yes.
to as well, even while you throw on a YouTube video or whatever you want to do and on the other side, right? But with that being said, speaking of, well, not necessarily fun experiences, my experience was a little bit different than the rest of the population, I think, in Path of Exile. But again, POE2 in the state of the game itself and currently where it's at with patch 0.2, obviously generally very negatively received. There are some people who are like, no, it's great. I love the difficulty. And again, you may be more so masochists. I don't know what's wrong with you at the end of the day. But it's, again, more so, again, generally negatively received. And again, for me, at least in my, I'll start off right with the thoughts of it. It's very, very slow. Of course, if we want to compare to LE, yes, it's of course it's going to be slow. But ultimately, as well, the progression, the halts, as we kind of earlier mentioned with Path of Exile, it's very tough to just kind of get through the game. For whatever reason, white mobs are more dangerous than bosses. Um, like, why is Joe Schmo destroying me? Whereas, again, Monkey King is actually somewhat easier to deal
So
with than that.
there's a legitimate reason for that. It's
Yeah,
because the white mobs can still get modifiers put onto them that the bosses don't get, so they can end up getting
right.
crazy crit damage and stuff. Doesn't mean it's right, but that's how it happens.
Yeah, no, the whole point is like, why is
Yeah,
this exactly
yeah.
a thing, right? The modifiers I get, but like, why is it taking me again, I'm being hyperbolic here, but like 4 hits to kill a
You're
white
not
mob
that
too, right?
hyperbolic. Did you see the Quinn video with, or it might have been Quinn or Crip? They were playing minions, and it took their minions 9 hits to kill the enemies on the Juggernaut as they were running through.
Yeah,
So you're not that hyperbolic. You're pretty
yeah,
close. You're not that far off.
right. It's and so again, it's like I get having meaningful gameplay to quote Jonathan, but at the end of the day, how meaningful is this if I'm sitting here doing the same thing over and over? It gets frustrating,
Well,
is what it
that's it,
becomes.
right? It's a balance between what has meaning and what is just like, come on, like what are we doing?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, PoE2 is not supposed to be PoE1. They've stated that, and again, of course, the game is in early access, so of course, it's not going to be in its quote-unquote finished state. And some people won't be happy about even just saying yes, it's in early access. But yeah, and they're experimenting with a lot
But
right now. Again,
are they?
um,
This is where they lose me, right? Like
sure.
I have such a,
This is why I brought it
yeah,
up because
I
I was
have
curious
such a
to hear
love
what you
hate
had to
with
say.
them. Like they can't market the game as early access, but not do patches. Like I said this the last time we talked about PoE2, and I don't think it's fundamentally a bad game. I think the problem is they
No.
are allowing these play styles in the game. Like right now, it's Lightning Spear. Right? They are allowing this to stay in the game for an entire patch. For 3 to 4 months, they are not making changes. And what that does is when they nerf everything into the ground and they make you play the way they want you to play, it's not fun. because you've been conditioned to go
Yep.
fast. You've been conditioned to clear the entire screen with one build. I mean, with one button. And if that's not what they're looking for, they can't let it exist for this long. That's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking it's that simple, but I literally think it is that easy of a situation right now that they are just letting things live for too long.
Yeah, you're kind of talking about the disparity between at least when the game initially launched, and obviously now how everything has just been slowed down dramatically.
But it hasn't.
Right?
So in the current version of the game,
Yeah.
53% of players are playing the Lightning Spear build. 53%. That is unheard of.
There's no problem there. There's no
so
problem
like
there.
that should tell you, right? Like, again, we talk about difficulty in Last Epoch. There's not a let me rephrase what I was just going to say, because 40% of players were playing the Sentinel week 1. So, you know, but still, it's that's a class, not a build, whatever. But like, there's so much you can do. I think Rax just took the worst rated build in LE, and he just went and cleared all of the what do you call it? All of the corruption, and did all the timelines and the monoliths and stuff. So like, even the worst performing builds in this game are balanced well, and I think that's the whole thing, is the balance is bad, but they're just not fixing it. And then they're monetizing the game as if it's a full release. There's cosmetic boxes, there's loot boxes in the game. Like, I just I don't know. I have just a fundamental problem with it, and we've had this conversation about early access, and I just really have a problem with marketing something as early access and then like not treating it that way. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. If you want the community to give you freedom, give you slack, give you whatever, then like, you know, be appropriate. That's what GGG's entire fundamentals have been built on, right? Is like truthful with the community, and been like really open and communicative. And it's just whatever. I don't know. I'm a broken record at this point with it.
I was gonna say, do you feel like they haven't been truthful and communicative?
I feel like they don't know. And it's very hard to communicate to your community what your goal is when you don't know what your goal is. So you're new into it, right? There were some old podcasts or some old interviews where Chris, the other like founder, would sit down, and he would literally like be able to talk you through all of the in-depth mechanics of how things worked. And you see a lot of the interviews now with Mark and Jonathan where like they're like, oh, we didn't know that that's how it was working. And I understand, bigger game, 2 games, there's a lot going on. I get that. I know that.
We're looking into it.
But it's just frustrating, like that they don't even know that they're here. Chaos Inoculation, right? Not working on Bleed. Originally in the first podcast, that they did in the first patch, they were like, oh yeah, we didn't mean to do that. We'll have to fix it. And then they left it. And then it stayed in the game again, where you couldn't inflict bleed on something that had energy shield. And in the interview with Ziz, they were like, oh yeah, we decided that we wanted to leave this, and we actually forgot that we had that conversation. What do you mean? Come on. That's
what do you mean you
right?
forgot?
So it's like, I don't know. I feel like they don't totally know what they're doing. And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. Like, I genuinely think Mark and Jonathan want to make the best game possible.
Oh, for sure.
I just think that they're being influenced by other stuff on the outside, whether that's the community sentiment really giving them negative feedback and taking that maybe almost too much to heart. Like, they're caring too much about what everybody thinks rather than what they're aiming to build. And I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem that Helldivers ran into a little bit as well, because they were caring so much about what the community would say or what changes they wanted to make, especially after they nerfed everything, right? Then they started to try and implement some of these changes, and it actually didn't go in their favor. It just made things worse and more confusing, and then ultimately the direction of the game was lost, and people are like, oh, what are they trying to do here? We don't know. So in them being over communicative at the end of the day, it actually just created more confusion instead of, again, showing transparency and clarity on where the direction of the game is going to go. So making sure, as you kind of said, having someone like Chris who's able to explain it and sit down, and this is the way all these things work, and here is why, or say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take that into consideration here and say, like, you know what, that doesn't work necessarily, you're right, let's look into it and actually get it done, not we just forgot, right? That speaks volumes. Again, having that clear direction, I think, is super important.
To just push back quickly on the positive direction, Mark said that he was going to look into a lot of stuff in that podcast, and by the end of that week, I think literally almost everything he mentioned was taken care of. So, like, you know, to give credit
Oh
where
yeah.
credit is due, that man went to
Hmm.
town.
Oh yeah, 100%. And again, you do see, like, that's why I say, like, or even ask, like, you don't think they haven't been transparent, or, and I already get what you're saying, right? But again, they are trying to
Yes.
make the changes and make the game more positive, and they're trying to
Yes.
make these positive changes, and we're seeing them in action already. And that's where I'm like, man, again, GGG is very communicative, at least in regards to, in comparison to, again, for lack of better comparison, Tarkov, for God's sake, it's terrible when it comes to communication, right? Again, at least in that regard, because there's still so many glaring issues, and they're coming up on 1.0 release, and it's still going to be filled with cheaters. Everybody knows this, and glitches and issues going on. But yeah, again, the state of POE2, I'm excited to see where it
Yes.
goes. Not really necessarily, I wouldn't say in a playable state, right? Again, I have a character, again, the health regeneration warrior, per se. It's literally the anti 0.2 patch build, because I'm just trying to live, for goodness sake, and I've still died like 15 times. And I'm in the middle of at the end of Act 3, right? Or it's, yeah, again, I'm at the end of Act 3. I haven't even gotten through Act 3. That, I think that's saying a lot, that I didn't even get into Cruel. I didn't
Yeah.
even want to, because it was so slow. I was just, again, it felt monotonous, and it felt tedious for me. Those were the feelings I had with again, POE2. And with Last Epoch, again, it's been like a total,
180. Yeah.
again,
It's the
flip
opposite.
between the both of the games. It's been a total flip. Last Epoch, I was done with the content within a few hours. Now I haven't even gotten full through all of the content, and I've been playing much longer than I was for the first season. So it's an exciting flip, to say the least. But before we go into the kind of some of the games that are coming up that we're excited about, Carl, was there anything else you want to add in about just the PoE2 and the state of the game and where it's at?
I was long-winded enough with this. I'll make it brief, and it's I want to emphasize really what you said, is that as much as I'm bent out of shape about the current state of the game, I
Hmm.
don't want it to be misconstrued. I'm extremely excited to see where PoE2 goes and what they are able to make with that game. It is just a completely different feel than Last Epoch, and I do think it has a place in the genre of just that very, like, I don't even have the word, like, the thuddy combat, like you feel it. And I do think that that is
Yep.
fun for a period of time. It is not
Hmm.
fun all of the time, but I think that if I know
Hmm.
anything about GGG, they will figure out how to make it feel good. And that I'm very much excited for and looking forward to. So to end the POET rant on a
Yep.
positive note, I'm excited. I am looking forward to it. So
Good, good, good. And so that kind of brings us to games we are excited about coming up. What would be, again, we can kind of go back and forth with this, but at least for you, what is your first game, if you have multiple, that you are excited
well,
for coming up?
before I even answer this question, there's a game that I have to ask you
Mhm.
about that you just kind of alluded to,
Please.
but we know is coming up
Hmm.
very soon, and that is the 1.0 release of Tarkov. What are your thoughts on that?
So I know how you feel about this already. Now, for me, I am very curious to see. I know they'll, again, in a really quick trailer I had seen somewhere, I think it was within a YouTube video, they have skins coming up. They're trying to make sure animations are cleaner and everything else itself runs a little smoother, it seems, at least for 1.0 release. And I am definitely going to play it, at least initially, just to see how it goes. I'm very curious to see what that looks like, and to see if there's any major differences between where it's at currently. I haven't played it in probably a few months, to be honest, versus, again, what it can be. Like, I remember watching Lupo play it, and it looked no different from the day I had stopped playing it for a little bit, right? um Again, especially with so many extraction shooters coming up, which I'm really excited about, and that have a fresh take on the genre itself. I'm really excited to see what happens now with the season 1 release. I want to look more into what is actually coming, because I truly don't know the breadth of it. But again, if I'm looking for anything in season 1, like, just make the game functional. Holy cow! Like, get rid of the cheaters. They're like, I don't think I'm asking for much, but I am, I guess, right? Number one, and number two as well. Again, can we reduce the raid times? Why does it take me 8 minutes to get into a raid? That's kind of across the board. I get some people, like, they did reduce it at one point down to like even 2 or 3 minutes, and that was around my average the last time I played. But still, some people are still hitting 7 or 8 minutes. Number two, again, number three, again, making sure the game is smooth and playable, because there is even times where people are still disconnecting from raids all the time. Maybe that's a personal experience or problem, but I will be playing it. It's coming up and around May is what has been I think the most recent reported date. I'm sure there's a more accurate estimate. But again, I am interested to see how that goes. Now, one thing that is bad about Tarkov is it does not respect your time whatsoever. It does not care if, again, you have all the time in the world or no time at all, and you have a full-time job and a family and doing what you're doing, because at the end of the day, you go into a raid, you die, and you don't complete your quest, you get nothing. You restart, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I mean by it doesn't respect your time. So for me, again, it's a game I'm looking into. Am I going to play it a ton? I don't know. Just, again, we will see how it feels at that point. If it feels great, then yeah, for sure. Even if it doesn't really respect my time, that's something
Well,
I want to
that's
play,
right.
I think, because I enjoy that PvP aspect. But we shall see. Now, in regards to that, I was curious on, again, now I kind of want the public to hear as well your opinions on Tarkov.
Me and Tarkov don't get along
Season
very well.
Yeah.
So
Why is that?
Okay, so Tarkov is a game I played. Man, I was in grad school still. 2018 maybe I started playing Tarkov. If that sounds maybe remotely accurate as on a timeline.
Yep. Yep.
It was a game that popped up on a YouTube feed once. I watched Pastilli play, and I was like, "Oh, that game looks insane." I watched it for like a week, and then caved and bought the what is it? Edge of Darkness edition.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and
POD.
literally never looked back. And then I don't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago or whatever. They had that huge issue that came out with. Was that the Arena issue where they like tried to push Arena as a new game and not a DLC, so that they didn't have to honor it with the people who purchased it? And I don't know. Like, that just really.
EOED stated that they would get access to all different features and everything like that, including Arena, and then they went on and changed it on their website at some point, and they changed what EOD said, and people had the receipts, showed it to them, and everyone got pretty frustrated.
Yeah,
and upset.
it's just like I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like that really grinds me the wrong way. Like, that's not.
Yeah, it's scumbag behavior.
That's not.
That's
cool.
what it is.
And I'm a really easy person. I'm a really simple simpleton, if you want to say that. And
sure.
I don't know. I when I lose respect for something like that, it's pretty hard for me to just dive back into it. So I've played it very sporadically since then. I will say, out of the extraction shooters that I've played, it is by far the best. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit thick-headed when it comes to that stuff. I hope it's good.
Yeah, I mean, follow-up question: when you say best, why is it best?
There's never been another extraction shooter that I've played that's ever given me the rush or the feelings that Tarkov has. None, ever.
Yep.
The gun.
That's what I was looking for.
The gunplay,
Yeah.
the environments, everything. Now, I will say one thing. We'll talk about this in a few minutes, but there's some new extraction shooters that are coming up that make me actually wonder: did Tarkov wait too long for a 1.0 release? Did it take too long?
I hope so.
Because
so.
some of these new extraction shooters they look good.
Yeah. And again, before we get into that, though, before we get into the extraction shooters, was there a game that is on your list that we are excited about?
I mean, I got a couple of things I'm excited for, but I'm easily entertained. I always look forward to the new POE launches. So sometime in June, we should be getting a POE 1 league that I'm very excited for.
Right.
I haven't had a new league in it's closing in like 10 months. So obviously that. I really want to get around to playing Schedule 1. Don't ask me why. There's something about that game that my ADHD just says looks like a lot of fun.
Right.
And then the Doom Eternal, I think, is coming out. Not Eternal. Doom Dark Ages comes out, I think, May 15th. So that's got me kind of a little hooked too. That's like a mood game. I just want to go like jam out to some aggro music and just blow stuff up. So.
Yeah, doom metal, man.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's one of those games where you get your frustrations out,
kinda.
and that is the sole purpose while listening to doom metal, literally, or argent metal is the term people use. And that is a game I'm also excited
What about
for.
you? You got anything on your radar? I mean, I know we have a couple that we talked about just in the category. But what do you got for me? I'm excited.
So I mean, again, I feel like I've evolved, right? Like again, as I kind of initially said, Halo was the game I grew up playing, and again, from there, it's now evolved into like extraction shooters, right? Just again, the feeling you got from Tarkov, that where your heart is beating out of
Yeah.
your chest, and you're like, okay, my pulse is 150. I don't know whether to go to the hospital or make sure I like take a couple deep breaths. Maybe I need to if that doesn't stop, right? Like that feeling that the game provided is clinically insane, for lack of better words. Now, there are a few extraction shooters coming out, or at least two that I had know about. I know Arena Breakout Season 1 came out. I'm not necessarily super excited about it. It is clean. It is a mobile version of Tarkov, literally, and they just put it on PC. That's what it is. It's a
Yeah.
PC port. And again, it is fun to a point, right? Because the one issue is you can buy money in game, so you can just buy the gear that you want at the end of the day. So there's a pay to win mechanic in it, regardless of what anyone says. There is a pay to win mechanic. Even if you are better than the other players, the fact that you're able to pay for a level, I think 6 helmet is how high it goes in that game. And the fact that that helmet is insane, the biker helmet is insanely overpowered or very helpful, right? Again, doesn't you can use the highest tier ammo and still not kill somebody headshot wise. Like that is a massive, massive advantage in a game, right? So for me, I'm most likely going to avoid that. But what I'm truly excited for is Arc Raiders #1 actually has taken the spot, and then initially it was Marathon for me. So both of them extraction shooters. Marathon and Arc Raiders Arc Raiders is more dystopian. I think somebody put it as space punk. I think that was Operator Drewski who put it that way for Arc Raiders in regards to its theme. Again, it is the same exact extraction loop that you would do where you go in. Again, it is PvEVP where you are fighting these kind of robots who seem to be actually pretty tough from just looking at it. The open alpha, or yeah, the closed alpha is currently going on right now, and the maps look absolutely beautiful. The noise and the sound design of the game is unbelievable. It's on Unreal Engine 5, so the game looks beautiful regardless. And even they even have VoIP and proximity chat, which is a highlight, where even like, for example, if we're walking down a hallway in a building, the voices will echo off the walls,
That's
and
cool.
you can even hear through the walls somebody talking. And when you're firing a gun, there is dust blowing in the air, or there is some smoke coming from the muzzle, right? And you hear the echoes of the shots going through the hallway. And even again, as I was watching Operator Drewski play it a little bit today, he was even saying how it feels like Tarkov, which was really interesting. The and what's even interesting, there's a down and out but not out mechanic, right, where you go down similar to kind of Call of Duty, but even in that mechanic you're able to crawl around and do things. I even saw somebody be able to escape a raid while they were down by pressing a few buttons, like in this little terminal. It closed up the hatches and they were able to return home while they were down, and they were, I think it was in a squad of 1. So again, there's a lot of interesting ideas they have. They even have like big giant metal robots from the Wild Wild West movie with Will Smith. If
Oh yeah.
that's dating myself at this point, right? But even those are in game, where they're going to have in-game events within the raid itself. So there's a lot to it that Arc Raiders looks super interesting. The studio behind it, Embark, were the same people who made the finals, which I didn't play much of at all. Actually, I didn't play it all, but I heard nothing but really good things about. And the studio itself seems like, again, they like to push high quality content. And another thing I'm really, really excited about with Arc Raiders is that it's third person, right? You're looking over the shoulder of a character. Some people may not like that. I personally do, as someone who grew up playing Gears of War 2 and 3 as well. And at least the gunplay and gameplay reminded me a lot of that, actually. Even with time to kill, again, it wasn't necessarily a one-shot kill. It takes a few shots. So people are a little spongy. Again, I really like the hardcore element of making sure people are not super spongy, but that's something I can get past, especially when I'm able to play with friends. There's voice chat, which can make for a lot of fun clips and interactions with people. But that game itself, and I know this is the one you're excited about as well, not so much Marathon, and I'll talk about that in a second, but Arc Raiders looks actually really good. Not just in terms of like the game will be fun, but literally looks
Yeah,
beautiful.
I agree with that completely. That game really got,
Mm-hmm.
when I was looking at that yesterday, I think I even texted you and was like, "Hey, like, have you seen this yet? This looks really good," which is very uncharacteristic for me with those types
Mm-hmm.
of games. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it does. It looks beautiful.
yeah. And one thing I even forgot to add is they even have a little skill tree, and yes, there'll be cosmetics and stuff to pay. And again, a lot of the people who were streaming it today were comparing it to the Helldivers Battle Pass, which again, that Battle Pass is actually it typically was relatively cheap. The game is hopefully going to be $40 in release, is what I'm understanding and hearing so far. And again, typically, apparently, Embark does great with the cosmetics as well when it comes to in-game. So, again, not that that's a major component or thing I'm looking forward to for the most part, but the gameplay itself, being able to, again, even solo queue versus doing trios only, whereas right now in Marathon, people are only allowed to do trios, which is a bit of a contentious issue. Marathon itself is mixed, literally. People have a very mixed opinion about that, but again, to say the least, I was really I had a lot of FOMO about not getting to play Marathon on open beta, and I'm hoping I get to at some point. But now I'm having a lot of FOMO about Arc Raiders, and it's a game that I really am looking forward to. With that being said, also looking forward to Marathon still. However, I love the idea of, again, it's not a hardcore extraction shooter. Coined by Dr. Lupo, who's literally someone who, again, streams and plays Tarkov all the time, right? He kind of classified it as not being hardcore, which for me was personally a Debbie Downer. I love the idea of how hardcore Tarkov can be and all the different mechanics you have to learn. That, again, if we talk about progression, right, knowing what healing items to bring and knowing what syringes to put in your butt and figure out what you need to bring into a raid to make sure you survive, right? Like, that's progression for me.
What are we classifying as hardcore? Because to me, hardcore in those games is if you die, you lose everything.
Yes, and that is Tarkov, right? And then that's what, again, but more so hardcore, meaning all the mechanics that are involved in Tarkov, right? You have the limb system, you have all the different healing that you need to figure out. You have to drink water, you have to eat food, right? All that is not part of Marathon. For Marathon, there is no limb system, for example. You have the healing mechanics are very simplified, and Arena Breakout does it this way too, where again you have shield, and then you have your wraps to heal your health, and you heal your shield, and that's it. But there's no system where, oh crap, my leg is broken, I need to put a splint on. Oh crap, I don't have a splint, I'm screwed, right? Like, that doesn't happen in Marathon. And even in Marathon, you have an opportunity to revive people at the end of the day if your teammates go down. Things like that don't necessarily make it hardcore, right? And another thing that makes, again, I think we could throw into the hardcore categories, again, as I kind of mentioned, Tarkov doesn't respect your time. It doesn't care about your time. You go into a mission, you complete every objective, and all you have to do is extract, but you die. You don't complete that mission, you start over. In Marathon, you go into a mission and you do all the objectives, you still complete the mission regardless if you die or not. Right, you still get the progression.
I think we're just using the word differently. Like, I'm using the word hardcore very literal, as like when you die, you're dead. All of the items that you had in that raid are gone. All of the progression that you had would be gone. That's a little different in Marathon, but it seems like you would.
Marathon does that
different, right?
Yeah, a little bit. You still lose all the items, right? You don't bring any of the gear out. I don't even think there's an insurance system. There's not even a scav system in the game, which one thing Marathon did that I like is that they have it so, again, you have the sponsored kit, which can help you even take down people with higher tier gear. And again, for us, it's a small fee, but you don't have to go around scavving. And I actually kind of like that mechanic and idea. Now, again, in general, Marathon and the opinions of it have been mixed. Some people have loved the idea and look of it. Some people hate it, right? And it depends on really the crowd you ask, right? You ask Destiny 2, it's like, this should be PvE. Where's the PvE? There's no PvE. The PvE will be there. There's just PvP. And you just have to deal with it, right? Again, from Bungie, they don't want to have two different audiences or one audience go from one game to another. Obviously, financially, that makes no sense for them. But again, a lot of Destiny 2 players are disappointed with what they see. Some extraction shooter players like Lupo love the game, and it looks good. For me, I'm actually excited for it. I love futuristic sci-fi genre regardless. Again, Halo is my favorite universe. And the fact that we're doing something within that universe, and theoretically Marathon and Halo are connected per se, there's a lot of Easter eggs. Heck, even in Marathon, there is a pistol that is named the Magnum MC for Master Chief, and it literally looks similar to the Magnum that you use in Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3. So Yeah, so for me, I'm pretty darn excited for some of these aspects, but also again the fact that again I take his opinion seriously. Lupo, he even says like the feeling that you get, the rushing feeling, that heartbeat beating on your chest, like he got that from Marathon, which is interesting, right? Because as he put, he said maybe again. Thankfully, I'm glad it was there because at the end of the day, again, I thought I had no soul. Thank you, Nikita. Essentially saying like his senses were desensitized from Tarkov, but Marathon was able to provide the same rushing feeling that Tarkov did. So that makes it exciting for me regardless,
Yeah.
right? But again, I know we talk about again gunplay or the Bungie gunplay per se, and how a lot of people that means something, right? Because again, we're talking Destiny, we're talking Halo, and the impact those things had, and the way guns felt, and the way they make them is impactful. It feels good. And one thing I heard consistently from multiple people who played it, the gunplay feels great. The interactions feel great. And it's an exciting game to me. Personally, I'm excited. I know a lot of people may so more so are not. Just depending on various reasons, whether again they think it's going to be cosmetic farm fest and they're going to ask for a ton of money. Yes, that's a possibility. For me, I don't truly care too much about it, or they don't like the aesthetic because it's not true to Marathon, the game itself, which looks actually to go into that lore, into that game, was really good. You should give it a look, Carl. I think it's really interesting. But again, I'm excited for Marathon, to say the least. I could go on tangents all day long, and I have one more game I'm excited. I actually am going to play it tonight. But those are the two major games I'm really excited for coming up.
I have to ask, what's the other one that you're looking forward to?
So I mean, it was a game I literally stumbled upon yesterday and even today. I just kind of looked into it. It's called Dead Zone. It is a $20 game. It's early access. Again, of course, we're going to use the early access title. But again, I literally just bought it tonight because I'm curious to see what it looks like. But again, on the initial even trailers of the game itself, it is a roguelike first-person shooter. Again, roguelikes, obviously, everyone thinks of, oh my gosh, the vampire game.
Yeah,
I'm blanking on it.
Survivors.
The Vampire Survivors, right? Everyone thinks of that. Now, again, at least the gameplay looks very Doomish to me, is how I would describe it. The way the guns move, the way you move, the speed of play, and then they throw it into a roguelike where you're constantly upgrading your character and moving around. Again, Dead Zone Rogue looks really interesting to me, and an interesting concept on a roguelike genre. So I'm going to be trying that tonight. I'm excited. I may even come out with a video, I think, ultimately on this game. But this seems to be a very overwhelmingly positive game to try so far. It is rated as very positive. Mind you, only out of 447 reviews. But again, a lot of people have wishlisted it already. It's known as a PvE game. It seems pretty exciting.
That's pretty cool. I'll have to check it out, or at least look into the video that you do to see about it. But yeah, I'll have you tell me that later tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. Even as I watch video as well, there's like dash mechanics. There's multiple different guns you can use in different ways. You modify your grenades, and again, all these different enemy types. So it looks very interesting, to say the least. Anyway, those are the games I'm excited for. Let's pray Arc Raiders comes out, or I get access to it, so I can also, again, provide some content on that. I would love that. So please, Arc Raider devs and Bark, please let me in. But with that being said, was there any closing thoughts you had,
man,
Carl?
It's been, we were talking about it earlier. It's been, I can't believe it's the end of April today. And what a month for ARPGs. Dude. And No Rest for the Wicked out today. Diablo 4 season, I think 8 out yesterday. It's
Jeez.
Last Epoch 2 weeks ago, POE at the end of the beginning of the month. It has been one hell of a month for video game releases. Clear Obscure Expedition 33 apparently is an absolute banger that I need to look at. April has just been packed, so a lot of stuff to catch up on. A good time to be a gamer. I'll leave it with that. It's a good time to be a gamer.
Yeah. There's not enough time to keep up with everything. My gosh, I'm struggling. But guys, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please like and subscribe. If you enjoy our content, at the end of the day, please like and subscribe. If there's anything we did not touch upon, or what your thoughts and feelings were on Marathon, on Arc Raiders, on Escape from Tarkov, even on POE2 and Last Epoch, please leave those down in the comment section below. And then otherwise, until next time, guys, we will see you in the next one.
Peace.